TNA alumni have tried their best to craft their work in the WWE. Currently, guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, and Eric Young are all doing their hardest to make themselves known in WWE from leaving TNA. Even Xavier Woods, the former Consequences Creed, is doing his best as a member of the New Day. Though amazing as a star from the Impact Zone coming over to Connecticut, there has been a lot of bust over the years. Take, for example, Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, who once had the greatest knockouts feud in the history of TNA, were turned into absolute jokes when they each got to WWE. Even America's Most Wanted, one of TNA's greatest tag teams, consisting of James Storm and Chris Harris, had their own individual runs, but it's best we don't talk about those. But there's always one TNA to WWE flop that will always stick to me, and there's always one example of WWE dropping the ball. I'm talking about Austin Aries. Austin Aries, A-Double, the man who had made himself a household name in Ring of Honor and TNA. When he got to WWE, it really didn't turn out great for him. Aries debuted in NXT, turned heel against No Jose, got sidelined with an eye injury, got called up to the main roster, called up to 205 Live as a commentator, lost 3 Cruiserweight Championship matches against Neville, and then was gone from the company. And I'm not just listing all the notable things that happened in his entire run. That was literally his entire WWE career summed up. I don't know what happened. WWE seemed to look like they had a star in their hands, but they couldn't do anything right with him, and they just let him go and absolutely ruined it. But was it really a bad run? Well, let's recap everything that happened and see if it really was. On the March 2nd, 2016 episode of NXT TV, Austin Aries made his debut to NXT and in WWE. Aries' first feud was against Baron Corbin, who at this point was on his way to the main roster. I don't know if that excites anyone or displeases anyone, despite who you believe. After Corbin attacked Aries on his debut, Aries was not seen until NXT TakeOver Dallas, where he and Corbin would have a blow-off match, and then the next night, Baron Corbin would win the 100 Memorial Battle Royal and be on his way to the main roster. So I guess you could thank Austin Aries for bringing Baron Corbin to the main roster, or you can hate him again, despite whichever fans you are of Corbin. Aries would lumber around in the mid-card of NXT until his other profile feud was against No Way Jose, who actually turned on him. Of course, every time they debut a new indie darling wrestler coming to the WWE, they always gotta turn them heel to see what works. And surprisingly, this one worked. I don't know if it's just me, but I always think that Austin Aries works well as a heel. He did it in Ring of Honor, and he did it in TNA, and he almost did it in WWE. Until he was called up to 205 Live, but we'll get to that later. Aries and Jose would have a blow-off match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, which saw Aries going over on No Way Jose, until Hideo Itami, who had just returned previously, attacked Austin Aries with the GTS, the Go To Sleep. And you know what's really, really heartbreaking about this? Even though Itami and Aries were on a collision course, they never had a blow-off match as due to Hideo Itami getting injured again on a NXT house show. What is it with Hideo Itami getting injured? I guess this is why he was released. I guess WWE didn't want him to hurt himself on the main roster again. Aries would enter the Dusty Rhodes Classic in 2016, bringing along the Messiah of the Backbreaker, Roderick Strong himself. So this is something you can thank Austin Aries for, bringing Roderick Strong to NXT and to WWE. Austin Aries and Roderick Strong would not continue in the tournament due to Aries getting sidelined with an eye injury. But history was made when the Dusty Rhodes Classic, which is actually a tag team tournament, would actually be continued in singles action as Roderick Strong took on Shane Thorne of TM61. So that's another thing. Man, it's like Aries, like Austin Aries being in WWE brought us a lot of good things. However, in November 2016, all the way to March 2017, Austin Aries would provide commentary for 205 Live, which just started coming up. And in March 2017, Austin Aries was interviewing Neville after a match with Rich Swann. And then he uttered those words, "I have one last question. It's not really a question, it's more of a statement." And then clocked Neville with the microphone. So at this point, Austin Aries and Neville were already booked to wrestle at WrestleMania. And I don't care what anybody says about this, but this was a dream match for me. Austin Aries were going to lose to Neville in an amazing match, but it was on the pre-show nonetheless. Neville would take advantage of Aries' eye injury, blinding the greatest man who ever lived, and beating him. Okay, Austin Aries' first Cruiserweight title match didn't go good, but he was able to get his rematch at Extreme Rules, at Payback 2017, where the match would end in a DQ due to Neville grabbing the referee. Okay, but at Extreme Rules in 2017, Austin Aries would get another shot at Neville in a submission match until Neville would hit the red arrow on Aries' back and beat him with the Rings of Saturn. Yes, in an embarrassing fashion, Neville beat Austin Aries 3 times in a row, all in Cruiserweight Championship matches. People already thought that this was the end game for Austin Aries' run in WWE. I mean, what's more after this? Well, it looks like we got our answer because we never see what Austin Aries was able to do in the company as he was released after the Cruiserweight Championship match at Extreme Rules. Sigh. And that was the end of Austin Aries and WWE. So, was it a bad one? Well, it's a mixed reaction. Yeah, Austin Aries would go on to be totally obliterated on the main roster, but in NXT, he brought us a lot of good things. He brought us a good match, a great match against Shinsuke Nakamura at NXT TakeOver The End. He gave us Baron Corbin on the main roster, still love or hate, depending on who's fans of Baron Corbin. He brought us Roderick Strong to WWE and in NXT, and he gave us singles competition and a tag team tournament. Seriously, there was some good to come out of Austin Aries' WWE run. Yeah, even though he did lose 3 Cruiserweight matches in a row by Neville, but it told an amazing story of Austin Aries and Neville, two of this generation's greatest competitors, going against each other non-stop. Ever since leaving WWE, Austin Aries' career has been brought up to an amazing level now. He won a ton of titles. He even went back to the place where they made him a star, TNA, and even became one of the best TNA World Champions of 2018, until he would leave the company after Bound for Glory 2018, where he totally no-sold the finish against Johnny Impact. But as of right now, Austin Aries is being advertised to be coming to MLW Fusion, Major League Wrestling. Seriously, I think leaving WWE gives a lot of good things for most people. But what did you guys think about Austin Aries' career in WWE? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to put a like on the video, click the subscribe button, make sure to click the bell, and share whatever you want. I will see you all in the next video, and good luck to the next guy coming from TNA to WWE, because they're going to need it.